All right. So, welcome back to After Hours. I'm your host, Jasmine, and today we have my best friend, Hope.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, finally got her on the podcast. So
in
excited.
person this time.
Woo! So sorry for the wait on episodes. There has been a lot of changes. To fill you in a little bit of time, I started cosmetology school. She moved in. Lots of changes. It's been chaos. I'm sure it's been chaos for you too. So we are here to talk about it. I took out this book. This is the Kybalion, if that's how you say it, by the Three Initiates. It's Hermetic It is Hermetic philosophy. And I just wanted to reiterate something that this book starts with as we open. I think these are some pretty good basic foundations to carry with you, especially in all of this chaos. So just to lay some basic framework, we're going to start with the 7 basic principles of Hermetic philosophy. So to start, number 1, we have mentalism. The all is mind, the universe is mental. 2, correspondence. As above, so below, as below, so above. 3, vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Also, if you can hear the fireworks in the background, so sorry. July 4th just passed recently. Happy holidays. Happy summer solstice. Happy. Yeah. So we've got fireworks running and going. You know, it's New York. But if you can't hear it, then I guess kudos to you. Anyways, 3, vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. 4, polarity. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pairs of opposites. 5, rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. 6, cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. And last but not least, 7, gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes, and that's energy, not sex. With that being said, what the fuck is going on lately?
Basically what's happening in the sky, like right now. That's what's been happening lately. Just a bunch of recalibration and bombs. Not literally, but metaphorically.
All right. So, I will include this for my viewers who are watching on YouTube. If you want to watch this, you can go on YouTube, look up After Hours by Jasmine Olivia, same exact thing. Or you can go on my Instagram, which is Jasmine Olivia with 2 V's, and you'll find it in the links. Anyways, for my people who are watching, I will include this screenshot of some different transits and changes and moons and all of that good stuff that is happening throughout the month of July that is causing some chaos. Let's actually start with the summer solstice, to be honest, because the summer solstice rolled in the 22nd along with the first quarter moon at 5:55 p.m. Eastern. So that was lots of moving energy, emphasis on control, balance, gratitude, perspective, patience, growth, transformation, self-expression. The divine feminine played a huge role in June, trying to come back to the forward. I believe the strawberry full moon was on June 29th, and it was in Capricorn. Strawberry moon, of course, has to do with harvest. Think of like the fruits to your labors, so to speak, abundance, culmination of efforts. Capricorn illuminates themes of ambition, responsibility, the structures we build in our lives. So the collective impact, many probably felt a pull to evaluate long-term goals, foundation of their lives. You might have been like asking yourself questions like, am I on the right track where I want to go? Am I leading the life that I want to live? Am I really becoming the person I want to become? You might have been, whether it was subconscious or more forwardly conscious, depending depending on how attuned you are. That all is up to you. But there was probably going to be mirrors of that in your external life, right? There may have been things kind of getting very loud. There may have been cracks in foundations in different areas, in your job, in your family, in your finances, whatever it may be. Some things became very loud to mirror to you the energy of what was going on around you. It was a time for shedding outdated structures that no longer serve our higher purpose. I know for me personally, did you also get your period on the full moon?
Absolutely, yeah.
I usually get my period on the full moon, but
I will say it didn't start on like the full moon, but it was
like the
in
day,
like the middle of it, which usually I don't have my period at that
synchronized
time. Yeah, it was like a outside time, that I usually have it from my regular schedule.
And then everybody at school too, like all the women at school, they were all saying like, oh, like we all synced each other, we all have our periods, and I was like, no, I'm pretty sure it's the moon. This was a powerful one. There was tons of energy in it. Capricorn is like super stabilizing too, super disciplined, super grounded. Like, What are you rooted in? What are you living for? Like all of these super big questions all around you. We did a ritual on the full moon. How did we start it?
With our ritual, we started with cleansing, obviously, but then we wrote a list of our, like, what we wanted to let go, basically.
Yep. Which was very important for this moon. So we wrote a release list, then we said it out loud because speech is spell work. If you know me, I always say that.
It's always better than writing it. Always say
it.
Always.
At the end of the day, if you want to get something out, write it. If you want something, say it. Even if you want to release something, speak it out loud. Tongue holds power. Speech is spell work, period. So we spoke it out loud, and then we burned it.
And then we took our time writing
a wish list.
Yeah, and basically intentions, manifestations, kind of all sorts of
what we were trying to call in.
Right.
Sometimes you really got to think bigger too. Like some of the things we wrote were like super, what you might call like outlandish things or whatever. Like you got to think bigger so that your feelings can align, so that your genetic expression can actually change. Not just your physical environment. That's something else I've been reading about as well that we were talking about this morning.
Right.
You can change your environment all you want, but if your gene expression is used to the same thing, it's going to produce the same thing. It's going to keep you in the same. You're going to end up going back to the same thing.
Epigenetics.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You can call it habit. You can call it whatever you want. But at the end of the day, we do have control over our emotions. The more that we control them, the more that we control our gene expression. Our genetic expression is what truly affects our health and our lives.
Absolutely.
But so the bigger you think, the more you can align your feelings. And if you want to learn more about that, listen to my last episode about manifestation, quantum physics, and Kundalini energy. We kind of go in a little bit more on that. But anyways, something quite interesting, I would say, I wrote on my release list something very important. I wouldn't say very important, but something I had on my mind that probably should be released. I put it on the release list. I said it out loud. I burned it. Got my period on the full moon, per usual. My period is pretty short. Stopped bleeding Wednesday night. Wasn't bleeding Thursday at all. Friday was off from school. Wasn't bleeding. Went and did something that negated what I wrote on this release list. Went against that. And midway, I started bleeding as if I got my period, and it wasn't light spotting. It wasn't, like pinkish brownish. It was like deep dark red, like blood, and a lot of it. And I was like, oh, okay. So my body was like, no, when I tell you, the energy was so intense, whew, it was insane. But moving on to the Mercury retrograde.
I mean, that right there, though, goes to show how much power the moon has. And
you have.
Exactly.
And you
much you can communicate with that moon and show them and tell them exactly what you expect in your life and what you manifest in your mind. And that will literally happen. And if you, like what happened there, if you go against that, it's not like your world is over. But be careful with what you do and how you do things. And if you're asking for something and you get that, be grateful for it. You know, don't go against the wishes of what you said you wanted aloud. You know, like we said earlier,
Right.
it's power to speak things aloud. So
Right. And at the end of the day, the first practice in anything that you do is keeping yourself stable enough to survive. And I feel like one way that you can do that, whether it's meditating, prayer, whatever kind of practice you have, right? Having some sort of altar space, and that doesn't have to look like deities, or it can. It doesn't have to look like crystals, or it can. It can look like literally anything that you want it to. It can be a drawing on a nightstand, and that's a really special area to you. It can be a corner of your house that has a beanbag that is quiet, that's your area that you go, whatever it is. But having a space that reminds you who you are, that brings you back to your roots, whether it's pictures of family, whether that's whatever it may be, little symbols of things that mean something important to you and your spirituality and your religion and whatever it is you believe in, but having somewhere that you can go back to when things get extreme, when things, you know, the trials and tribulations trial and tribulate. You know, having somewhere that you can just go back to and physically ground yourself in, look at something, sit there, breathe, connect to yourself, connect to that space, I think is something that is so important. That's, you know, one step to stability.
Yeah, I mean, mine is basically a shelf with all of my spiritual stuff and everything I use for my rituals and all that. So it's
I have
not
a few
huge,
different altar spaces, and they're for different things, but an
There's no
altar space is
specifics.
what you're going to define it to be. You
Right.
know, it's not going to be what anybody is going to tell you it is. It's going to be different for all different practices, cultures, beliefs, whatever it may be.
Right.
But having somewhere that you go is definitely important. Moving on to talking about Mercury retrograde. Everybody loves to talk about is Mercury in the microwave, you know. Listen, Mercury goes into retrograde every 3 months. So this is something we are used to. However, the energy that it goes into and the energy that pairs with and what's going on around us is what changes what actually happens and what gets brought up and what changes how impactful or not impactful each retrograde is for each person, for each zodiac, for whatever the case may be. Despite what you believe in, I'm sure you notice it. And the more attuned you are, the more alignment that you are calling in, probably the more chaos that you will find during these moments of retrograde, depending on what else is going on. This one has definitely been one of the most intense retrogrades we will experience in the past little while. For sure.
I will say it gets like more intense the more you work with like the moon and yourself, you know.
Your shadow, for sure.
Right.
For sure. And if you want an episode to explore more about what is your shadow, what is shadow work, how to work with yourself, how to become more connected with yourself, with your environment, let me know. Maybe that's something we can do.
Present time, we have Mercury retrograde in Cancer, in the sign of Cancer, so that's gonna last for a little bit, not too long, but you know,
I think like mid-July-ish. I think it started late June.
right. You know, with it being in Cancer, it's a lot about like emotional foundations and childhood memories, you know, family dynamics, stuff
What
like that.
means most to you.
Right.
And then rooted with that Capricorn moon, you have discipline meets emotion. You have that parent meets child in yourself. Like, those are the
Any
archetypes
like
coming up.
wounds like related to family, emotional stuff like that, it's just gonna come up. It's
my
not
God,
necessarily gonna be like a terrible thing, but it's gonna be something you're gonna want to work with through
Listen,
this
I thought that I was
retrograde.
I thought that I was through so many different emotions when it comes to my dad.
Yes,
In
absolutely.
1 week, so much stuff came up about my dad, and I was like, "You've got to
Yep.
be kidding!"
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "All right." I wrote stuff down. That's so important. That is
Yep.
such a tool.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's just something that you wouldn't think would come in, but it really just depends on, like, how the world is turning at the moment and what sign it's really, focused on. So, it's always interesting, but we get through it. And,
family dynamics. That's another thing. I was just talking about that before.
Right.
Family, finances, stability. All of that's going to be questioned for sure.
Right.
The themes of these things, I'm sure as you're listening to this, you'll have little things come up in the back of your mind. Those are the things that are being questioned. Those are the things that are being brought up. Those are the things that are being put in the pressure cooker while you have Mercury in the microwave, however you want to call it, right?
Right. So what do we do from here? Don't, like, get too into yourself, but when you do get into yourself, like, communicate with compassion, be like,
give yourself some grace.
Right.
Give other people some grace. We all are going through our own shit,
Everybody's emerging their wounds right now and stuff, and everybody's healing, and it's a really tough time for a lot of people, especially those really attuned to all this. So, reflection rather than action, more so stay
grounded.
And,
stay humble.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Yeah, you'll be feeling the collective impact. Right. Miscommunication is highlighted. Watch how you speak. Everything you say right now. So important. So important.
Yep.
Especially communication related to home and family. Emotional needs, like she was just saying, because Mercury retrograde is in Cancer right now. How you express your emotions, communication-wise, is so important.
It doesn't always mean, like, when we say, like, it's in Cancer, it doesn't always mean, like, oh, I'm a Cancer, so it's gonna, like, hit me. Like, yes, sometimes it does hit those signs a little bit harder here and there, but it's not necessarily about that. It's more so about, like, what
energy that sign encompasses and holds.
Absolutely, yes.
That is definitely more so what it is rooted in. And as, she was talking about old wounds, past stuff, all that stuff is going to get resurfaced so that you can transmute it and heal it. But if you let that stuff resurface and you respond to it in the same ways that you always have, how can you transmute that? But that's also human nature. So if you do that and you don't give yourself any grace and you judge yourself for doing that, you will never change.
Exactly.
Being aware of something is always the first step. Shitting on yourself for it once you become aware of it isn't going to get you anywhere but in a pile of shit.
Right.
Let's talk about some of the transits going on. Saturn transit into Leo, I believe. I forget when this started, but this was also around the beginning of July. Saturn is generational, and it's also like the go-getter, the taskmaster planet. This moved from Pisces into Leo. Yeah, basically around the same time. So the shift marks a move from the dissolution of boundaries, right, in Pisces, to a focus on self-expression, creativity, authenticity, and the expression of your boundaries in Leo, right? Ooh, my belly ring is poking me. Ooh, hurts really bad.
You okay?
Yeah. Anyways. So the collective... So we're all kind of being called to step into our power, to embrace our creative selves. You might have had more creative ideas, more little pings of things. Oh, I want to get back into this. Oh, maybe I should start this. Oh, maybe I should start this project. Or people who are already creative, maybe you've had a lot of ideas. Maybe if you were in a creative block, that's gotten taken down or whatever the case may be. But trust that. Go with that. You know what I mean? I always say having an original thought, having a creative thought is one of the closest experiences you'll have to touching God, whatever you want to call that you can have. So
yeah, like, just create, like, just do. At this point in time, this is what the universe is calling for, is just everybody to just step into just a really creative time.
But then rooted in Capricorn, take responsibility of your self-expression.
Right.
have some sort of discipline. Take responsibility for how you communicate yourself, how you transmute that. Is that serving you? Is the way that you're going about that actually serving you at this point in time? If not, don't shit on yourself for it. It's not a pity party. Ask yourself what you can do, and it can be a slow thing. Journal each week. Every Sunday, take out a piece of paper, take out a journal. Ask yourself, who do you want to become? Are you that? What can you do in the next week to take steps to become that?
Right. Give yourself a little courage.
Right.
You know, look in the mirror when you wake up and brush your teeth and just tell yourself that you're literally awesome and you can create anything that you put your mind to, and you are a leader no matter what anyone tells you. Right.
You create your own world, you know. And right now there's an emphasis on leadership, confidence, and the courage to shine, and that is up to you. That is in your hands. Here's another big one not a lot of people talk about. You want to talk about Mercury being in the microwave? What about Pluto? Pluto entered retrograde not too long ago. That is very intensifying, very transformative energy.
Pluto also, invites us to, find those hidden aspects of our psyche and confront them instead of, keeping them back in our subconscious. We really want to bring
allowing
them
our ego to take over and hide those parts of us, right?
Like the shadows, power dynamics, patterns in the subconscious that we aren't really aware of, but we can fix by doing all this work and bettering ourselves with all the research and stuff,
even if it is just awareness.
Right.
Even if it is just awareness.
That's the word that I was looking for. More so awareness.
Understanding yourself. Mm-hmm. How can you do anything with anything if you don't even know anything about anything?
Right. Exactly.
And nobody knows anything about anything, so don't put so much pressure on yourself, Chill. This is your first time existing. Take a breath. Yeah. Breathe, relax. Figure out what you need to do to connect to you. And then start there and go from there. So the collective impact of Pluto being in retrograde is reckoning. Restart. There's a collective reckoning with Pluto in retrograde that's taking place where people are facing deeper truths about power, control dynamics, boundaries, which we've talked about before. So think about all this energy kind of toppled onto each other, right? It's like Jenga. You got all these things going on at once. Is the tower going to fall? That part's up to you. How much balance, how much security, how much stability do you have within yourself? How much faith do you have within yourself, within inner wisdom, within God, within whatever practice you may have or lack thereof, That's a question you have to ask yourself. But also the transformation of your own life, Neptune didn't transit. Neptune went also into retrograde. So we've got everything in the microwave right now. Everything's in the pressure cooker. Everything is boiling. Yeah. That happened July 7th. So a couple days ago. Neptune is the planet of dreams, illusions. Neptune goes into retrograde every 5 months. So very different. This is going to last until December 12th. So we are going to be feeling this. And this takes place in Aries. This is the fire sign of action, of identity. The backward motion of this planet acts like a magic trick ending. This is going to be about cycles ending. This is going to be about fuzzy fog clearing. Like I was talking about before, if you've had creative blocks, those walls are coming down. You're going to see the truth about your goals, about your visions, about what you really want. Right? This is about dreams. This is about hopes, reality. So this is a time of heightened intuition. You may have had a lot of dreams. You may have had more vivid dreams. You might have been more connected to your dreams. Your dreams might have been more rooted in reality than just kind of fantasy based things. But there's also a potential for confusion and escapism. So again, this is all up to you. This is in your control. Where do you want to go with things? Where do you want to take things? How do you want to bend yourself? Many people are probably, like I said, experiencing vivid dreams. You might have even had increased psychic awareness. Anybody who's super attuned, you might have been feeling even more attuned. I know I have been feeling that. Way more premonitions lately. My dreams have been super intense. You've been telling me about more vivid dreams. You've been logging dreams more within the past month, I want to say.
I honestly had a little premonition too. I think it was like a vision of show or something. I honestly don't really remember. It was very quick because I don't have them often. But more so, my clairsentience definitely has been kicking in lately a lot. So
I've been like hearing little things and then just being like, okay, I have to say this thing to this person, and then I do, and then they're like, holy shit.
Right.
And it's super spot on, and then a week later something happens
and we've
that
been
validates
meeting
that.
more people as well that have been like
Super
giving us
into that as
more
well.
information. Yeah, exactly. So we're, you know, making connections in that.
More alignment, faux show. I also feel like maybe people who aren't as spiritually attuned, who aren't super into their own spirituality, maybe people who have more religious structure, religious fear, or whatever the case may be, might be more curious or inclined to their own spiritual connection. Maybe that's something that's been coming up with Neptune in retrograde as well. Neptune is also, no, that's Uranus. Uranus is the other generation planet. But anyways, but again, discernment is going to be crucial within all of this. Navigating the illusions versus reality, understanding your fantasy, understanding your dreams, how you can actually ground that in reality. But again, always think big, think big, think big. You don't have to water down your dreams. Just really ask yourself, if I really want this, how can I ground this into my reality starting today? Even with something super small. A very small habit goes a long way and builds a routine and a pattern.
Definitely.
Let me take a look at that picture again. July 7th, we also had the last quarter moon. And then July 9th, July 9th, Venus transited into Virgo. Virgo is definitely more down-to-earth, assertive energy. So you can definitely look into a lot more of some of these things that we're talking about. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop that below. Reach out to us as well. I'll put my business email in the description of this video. And again, you can reach all of my links and all of my contact forms through my website and my Instagram. My Instagram is Jasmine Olivia with 2 V's. We'll put both of our Instagrams and my website and all other important stuff in the description below. And this lovely lady's Instagram is Hope is Dope spelled backwards. Epodsiepoh. So
Period.
EPODSIEPOH. Hope is Dope backwards.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to go over some of the key events taking place in July of this year. So July 1st, we also had Jupiter square Chiron. Chiron is I believe it's right in between Saturn and Neptune or something like that. It's too small to be a planet, but it's too big to be like a meteor or something. But it happens to rule.
In-betweeny.
Right, but it happens to rule old wounds, things that you come into this life with. So this is going to be themes of healing and growth through challenges, addressing wounds related to expansion and abundance. So again, really be clear on what do you want? How can you manifest that? Because you certainly can. And again, watch my last episode to find out more about that. July 4th, Mars conjuncted. July 4th, we had Mars conjunct Uranus. So we had themes of sudden changes, unexpected actions, breakthroughs in energy or motivation. For example, Friday the 3rd, I brought in my car for service because I had a check engine light on, and I put that, like, I have Subaru, so when I book, I have a Subaru Crosstrek, and it's a 24, and I have, like, the app. So when I book an appointment, it puts all of my lights that are on in the appointment and what it's for. And I also clicked, like, I need my 36,000 mile service, whatever. So I put all that in there. And I told them, like, will I need a loaner car for this, a rental? And she was like, well, we don't have those until the 10th. And I was like, well, I need that. And she's like, it'll be fine. Like, we'll just do the 3rd at 11. And I was like, okay. I was like, that's the day I'm off, so that works. I bring my car in. That's, like, one of my only days off. Okay. Before I'm leaving, I find out I don't even know when I'm going to get my car back, be able to pick it up, because they're closed Saturday the 4th for the holiday, and then Sunday the service department's not open, and then Monday they'll be able to diagnose it and look at it. Maybe I could pick it up Monday, Tuesday, but I don't get home off the train until 7. Service department closes at 4:30. They close at 8, and they're like 15-20 minutes from me. So it cuts it very close. So I was stressing. Come to find out, I don't hear from them. Then I finally hear from them end of this week, after it's been a week of me not having a car. I have to walk 30 minutes to the train station alone, on top of all the extra walking I have to do, like subways and stuff like that for school every day and all that extra stuff. But fast forward, I get a call. They tell me they're trying to get the okay from Subaru to even start the repairs. They haven't even got that call yet. They might get it Tuesday, Wednesday next week to even start the repairs. They scheduled me to get a loaner, but I can't get it on the 10th. The next day that they're scheduling out loaners and rentals is the 20th. So I missed my meditation class that I have every month today, which was so frustrating. So I did like a virtual session with my teacher beforehand, and then I did my own stuff throughout the day. So I definitely feel grounded, but it's like like all odds just really are against you. But the more attuned you get, the more that you notice that, especially in these moments. That's why we wanted to come on here and talk about it. On top of having Mars conjunct Uranus, we also have Mars sextile Neptune. So we have themes of inspired action, aligning physical energy with dreams, spirituality. Like I said, people who maybe aren't so inclined to spirituality might be being more interested or curious to that. You might have been finding yourself getting deeper into that. If you are finding more synchronicities, coincidences, little things happening, along with big changes, big tests following all around you. The next day, July 5th, we have a story for that. We got to talk about what happened on July 4th, actually, for the fireworks, our party. July 4th, we also had a party at our house. It was like a small little gathering or whatever, and we ended up going to the beach to watch the fireworks, because on the sound, it's really pretty. You can see all the fireworks going off. You can see the Connecticut fireworks going off, and it also happened to be forecasted a thunderstorm. We did not know how bad it was going to be. We go to the beach. It's not bad at all. It's gorgeous. We see the lightning. It's not bad. It's not raining. Everything's really pretty. We all collectively are like, okay, we should go now. As we're walking back, we're like, one of our boyfriends is like reading out loud, like, oh, it's going to be like 80-mile-per-hour winds and da-da-da. And all of a sudden, the wind just picks up. There's debris flying at us all over the place. We're trying to get out from underneath these trees.
The rain just comes in. Back,
dude, came out of nowhere. We get in our cars. We're soaked. We're trying to leave. It's like, 9 o'clock? Nobody can move. Nobody can get out. There's one way out from this beach that we're at. Nobody can get out. Everyone is just being an asshole because no one can get out, and everybody wants to try to be the first, and maybe if I go in this way and whatever.
Yeah.
Turns out there was a huge fire going on, this huge bonfire. When we first pulled up, I said something about it, and I was like, I have a really weird feeling about that. And they were like, oh, yeah, whatever. Turns out, mind you, this was on a day where we had a record-breaking heat wave for New York. Okay. That fire, the wind picked up so quick, took embers, burned down a house, closed down that whole street. They were trying to get fire trucks in with boats so they could get the boats on the water because the house was on the water. Yeah, but nobody would move their cars enough to get the trucks in with the boats. But if the boats couldn't get in, the road couldn't get open for people to even leave. It was a hot mess. We were there for over like an hour and 15 minutes. Yeah. Our friends missed their ferry, had to get on a 6 a.m. ferry the next day.
They had to sleep in the living room
on our futon,
which really wasn't the best, only because please go. We then, as we're sitting in this traffic, one of our friends who had stayed home had texted us and said something about the lights So we
It's
realized
so dark in here.
the power goes out, baby. The power goes out.
We didn't have power until like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, which
and
meant
it was
no AC.
hot. It
Yep.
was hot as
No
hell.
AC,
Like,
no fans. We couldn't open the fridge or the
there
freezer.
was like 6 of us in there.
We
5,
lost
6 of us.
Yep.
Like,
we lost a lot of food. It's not that big of an apartment, so with the
right,
people
like,
and oh my god.
if the AC was there, it would have been
even if we just had a fan,
right,
at the least.
Exactly. But it was just like scorching hot that it was just uncomfortable, and I was like, I feel bad for them having to stay here. I feel bad for myself having to, like, it was just crazy.
It was insane.
Like, no one really got like sleep that night.
No, it was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Then July 5th, Mars trined Pluto, which, mind you, Pluto is in retrograde. So that we bring in themes of empowered transformation, harnessing deep energy, personal changes, creativity. For me, I ended up making like 4 to 6 songs that day.
Yeah, you did.
Or something like that. Like, I was just pumping them out. Like, I was in such a good mood.
Yeah.
And then literally the next day, July 6th, the sun is opposite Saturn, brings in themes of confrontation with limitations, seeking balance between personal expression and responsibilities. Same energy as that moon in Capricorn, which happened 7 days prior to that. Then July 9th, Venus enters Virgo, which I said prior, which brings up themes of focus on practical love, attention to detail in relationships, and valuing service. Virgos are the go-getters, right? It's about acts of service for yourself, for other people. July 14th, we have the new moon in Cancer, last quarter. That's bringing in new beginnings in home, family, and emotional security. So that's going to kind of tie up some of those loose ends that we're feeling right now in home, security, finances, family, all of that crazy stuff. So this is going to be a time to set intentions for nurturing and care. And what do you really want? What are you really trying to bring in? That's July 14th. Late July, July 20th, we have Jupiter trine Neptune, which is going to bring in themes of expansion, of spiritual vision, enhancing compassion, and idealism. And then Jupiter, same day, also opposite Pluto. Again, Pluto's still in retrograde, by the way. That brings up themes of power struggles, transformational opportunities, deep introspection. Then we have July 23rd, Mercury goes direct. That brings in themes of clarity and communication, right? We've had all this stuff going on about how important communication is, miscommunication. So towards the end of the month, July 23rd, we'll have clarity and communication and thoughts, forward movements, and plans. July 27th, the sun is opposite Pluto, which is going to bring in intense self-examination, potential power struggles, transformation of identity. And then July 29th, we'll have a full moon in Aquarius. And that's going to bring in just a culmination of collective goals, focus on community, innovation, and humanitarian efforts. So everything that's happened this month is really going to bring you to the core and the heart of what do you really want? How can you make that happen? It's going to really expose everything. By the end of the month, you're going to be sewing and lacing this thing back up, and all of this is going to be in the rear view, but then you're going to be left with an empty canvas. What do you want to put there? What do you want to fill in that empty space? You need to decide. If you don't decide, it will be decided for you. You have the power to decide, so you might as well do so. And then last but not least, keep in mind we have 2 eclipses coming up, as both a solar and a lunar, August 13th and the 27th. So you'll be feeling the pre-eclipse shadow as well. And then all of that energy I will probably do another episode on, so stay tuned for that. But to close this episode, we wanted to do a little writing exercise, and we wanted to prompt you guys to do this with us. So let me grab my book. Ooh. This one's a good one. Set a timer for 10 minutes and begin free writing. Why are you worthy of joy?
That's cute.
I think that's pretty on theme, too. You want to do that?
Yeah.
You want your journal?
Yeah.
All right, so take a moment, take a breath, ground yourself. Let's do some breath work, honestly, for a second. We just spit a lot of information. I'm sure a lot of stuff came up for you guys while listening to this of everything that's been going on. So let's take a minute to slow down. There's been a lot of fast-moving energy. Let's breathe. I'm glad we could talk about it. We're going to take a breath in for 3. We're going to hold it for 4, and we're going to breathe out for 6 counts. Ready? In through your nose for 3. 1. Hold out for 6. One more time. In for 3. Hold out for 6. One more time. In for 3. Hold for 4. Out for 6. Now that we have slowed down and we're a little bit more in the present moment, I invite you to take out your phone's notes, a notebook, whatever you're most comfortable with, your computer, anything that you have handy on you, or save this and come back to it later. We're going to do this exercise. We'll do this off camera, but we'll invite you to do the same. So we're going to go ahead and pause this and set a timer for 10 minutes. And you're just going to begin free writing. If you don't know what free writing is, it's exactly what it sounds like. Don't think, just write. Don't criticize yourself for mistakes. If that doesn't sound how you wanted it to, came across the way you wanted it to, don't overthink, just write. See what comes out. You might surprise yourself. Something might come out that needed to. Writing is a great form of expression, and that's pretty on theme with everything going on right now. So go ahead and get out whatever you need to do this. You're going to free write on the question of why are you worthy of joy? So we're going to do this off camera. You can go ahead and pause this, set a timer for 10 minutes. Why are you worthy of joy? And then we'll be back. I'm done. All right. 10 minutes are up. We'll share our responses, and then we'll leave you to reflect in your own. Do you want to go first?
It's a little half-ass.
Why are you worthy of joy? Hope.
Okay. I am worthy of joy because I'm human. Who's to claim what's deemed worthy? I'm allowed to breathe, to sleep, to eat, and to have joy, just as any other creature. I am worthy to have anything because nothing is truly real. Morally, the answer is because I'm kind and patient and because I always apologize first. But really, mistakes are forgiven, and what even is a mistake? Do mistakes hold the same weight as joy? No, joy brings smiles and love and sometimes tears. I think that's worthy. None of this makes sense, just like saying something is not worth blank, because everything and everyone is worthy, even of joy, including me.
Sorry, poetry snaps. All right. I like that. That was very similar to some verbiage I use.
Period.
Which is funny because we do that. Yeah. But I am worthy of joy because I am worthy of all. All is me, all is you, and everything in between. I am worthy of joy as much as I am worthy of pain. And I've definitely experienced a lot of that in my days. But that's what it means to be so alive, is to feel these good and uncomfy kinds of things. And to have so much of one means I've just as much the other. I am worthy of joy because I command it to possess me each day. I ask it to cast spells on my thinking, and I bounce with it smeared on my face, even on days you'd expect a frown. I'm worthy of so many things because I am meant to feel everything, just the same as you. And if I think you can be worthy of a thing as highly esteemed as a three-lettered word that feels so big, then I am too, and that'll do good enough for me. Because what does joy truly mean? And how could one not be worthy of said thing? Even those whom we may disdain had their fair shot at joy in this game. Besides, joy can come from anything, especially artificial things, so who am I to say a thing at the end of the day? I just know worthy is a petty construct we've created to define a moral compass we constantly negate. So why even say such a thing? Words are put funny little things.
See, that was good. I like that.
Thank you.
I really like that. That last part too.
Thank you. Anyways, I hope that you were able to take something from that. Take what resonates, leave the rest. You'll take what you need to. The rest will dissipate anyways. I know that. I trust that. You'll feel it. You'll figure it out. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. Let us know. Reach out. Like I said, all of our information will be in the description below on our YouTube channel. This will be posted on my channel, After Hours by Jasmine Olivia. And you can also find our newest episode on our podcast called The Debrief with Hope and Jasmine on YouTube and all podcast platforms as well. And those will be in our links that we put below too. In that episode, we played the game We're Not Really Strangers. We got deep, we drank some wine, we had some fun, we caught a vibe.
Yeah, we did.
And hopefully you will too. If you stayed this far, thanks for joining, per usual. If you haven't already, subscribe, follow, do the thing, turn those post notifications on. Like this video if you own something white. White or blue. White or blue. Like this video if you own something white or blue. Any shade, any kind. Anyways,
Thanks for watching.
thanks for watching. Good night. Godspeed with light and love. Goodbye. Till next time.